This conference will now be recorded.
So in today's session, we are going to discuss about ORM feature, and we will see what exactly ORM and what it represents, what is the use of ORM feature, and what the ORM will do internally, how to use this ORM feature in order to interact with the Salesforce objects through programmatically to insert some new records or to perform the DML operations. Now, let's see what exactly the benefit of ORM. Now, so basically, ORM stands for Object Relationship and the Mapping. ORM stands for Object Relationship and Mapping. Then what exactly this ORM will do? Now let me explain. For example, come to a common scenario. For example, I'm working in a company as a Java developer. So now, today we got a new requirement to implement a small feature through Java programming to write some piece of code to insert some new records inside my object. So we have a database object, we have a database table in which we would like to insert some new records. Then how can we write this piece of code? What kind of procedures, what kind of steps we used to follow to insert the record? Okay, how the Java is going to be interacting with the database. Now let me explain. Then you will be getting the clarity. So how the Java programming is interacting with the database and how this Salesforce will interact with the database with the help of ORM and what is the difference between these two programming languages, you will get the clarity. For example, we have a database table. We have a database table. Assume that this is the customer table. This is the customer table. Now, they are using Oracle database because Java people won't have their own database. Java doesn't have any database. They don't have their own database. They're relying on third party. They're relying on the third party databases. It may be Oracle or SQL Server or MySQL or MS Access or anything. Now, so now they have the database, okay, Oracle. As part of this Oracle database, they're having this customer table. Through Java programming, they want to insert some new records inside the object. So that in this case, as a Java developer, we have to write some piece of code. Now, we have to write some piece of code by using the editor. So now we are using an editor. Through the editor, we are writing some piece of code. It may be edit plus editor, or it may be Eclipse editor also, anything. Now, so we are writing some piece of code by using this Java programming language. By using some Java programming language, we are writing some piece of code to insert a record inside the database table. But Java doesn't have any facility to connect to the database directly. Java programming language is not having the capability to connect to the database directly. In order to connect to the database table, it needs a mediator layer. It needs a third party component. It needs a mediator layer through which it can connect to the database. So now that mediator layer is called as a driver. That is called as a driver. Now, in between this Java programming and the database layer, we are having a mediator layer that is called as driver. We require a mediator layer here that is called as driver. Now, as part of these drivers, we have various types of drivers are available here. We have different types of drivers like JDBC driver or ODBC driver or JET driver. These are the three types of drivers are available right now. Java database connectivity or object database connectivity or joint engine technology. Now this JDBC driver is from Java people, that means some from Sun Microsystems, and this remaining two are from Microsoft. These two are from Microsoft. ODBC and the JET drivers are from Microsoft. So now these drivers are going to be establishing the connection with the database tables. So in this case, whenever if you want to interact with the database programming from Java programming, so then in this case, first of all, we have to make a request to the driver first. So we have to make a request to the driver first. As soon as whenever we are initiating a request to the driver will be establishing the connection to the respective database. So once the connection has been established, then it can perform the required operation and will be getting the response back from the database. Now the same response will be sending back to the Java programming. So that here through Java programming, if you want to interact with the database, then we require a mediator layer that is called as driver. So in Java programming, we have to write some additional code to connect to the driver first. So through the Java programming, we have to connect to the driver. To connect to the driver, we have to write the piece of code. Now the driver will be interacting with the database. It will perform the operations. So in order to write connect to the driver, we are using the help of a separate library. As part of this Java programming, it is providing a separate library. It provides a separate library that is called as JDBC. It provides a separate library called as a JDBC library. JDBC library provides a collection of classes. It provides a collection of classes. Through these classes, we can connect to the driver. Now the driver will be interacting with the database. It will perform the operations. So Java programming is not having the capability to connect to the database directly. It needs a mediator component called as driver. Now, so now in this case here, whenever we are interacting with the database through a third party or the mediator component, definitely it is impacting on the application performance. Because we have to connect to the driver will connect to the database, it will perform the operation, driver will receive the response back. Now the driver will send the response back to the Java programming. So there is a multiple steps of keep on, okay, multiple chains are available. So in this case, it is impacting on the application performance definitely. Now, so in this case here, as part of this Java programming, it is taking some more time to connect to the database in order to perform the respective database operations. Okay. Now this is the actual process is happening as part of Java programming. Now, when you go to that Microsoft .NET frameworks as well, when you take some Microsoft .NET also, there also they're having the similar kind of approach. Here also they're having some similar kind of approach. Now, so in this case here, as part of Microsoft, for example, if I'm using some C# .NET programming over here, if I'm using some C# .NET programming in order to connect to the database table to perform the required DML operations. Now, for example, I'm using C# .NET programming. I'm using C Sharp .NET program. Now here also, C Sharp is not having the capability to connect to the database directly. In order to interact with this database, it requires a mediator component. Here also the driver is mandatory. As part of this drivers, it is using two types of drivers over here. First one, ODBC, second one, JET. Because C Sharp .NET is from Microsoft, these two drivers are also from Microsoft here. So both are compatible. Okay, now. So in this case here, from C Sharp .NET programming, we have to connect to the driver, and then through the driver, we can able to interact with the database. We can perform the operation. Response will be sending back to the driver. Driver will send the response back to the C Sharp .NET programming here. Now, in this case, from C Sharp, how can we connect to the driver? In order to connect to the driver, as part of this C Sharp .NET programming, they have introduced a separate library that is called as ADO.NET. ADO.NET is a separate library. It provides a collection of built-in classes which we can use to connect to the database, to the driver. Through the driver, they can establish a connection to the database. They can able to perform the required DML operations also. Now, when you observe these two most popular programming languages, it may be Java or it may be C Sharp .NET, both are interacting with the database with the help of a mediator component called as driver. Now, then how these same features, okay, will be working in Salesforce? Now, let's see. So whenever if you want to interact with your database, that means in Salesforce, Salesforce is having their own database. Now I'm using Apex programming language. Now, let's see. In this case, how the Apex programming will works in this case. So now as part of Salesforce, we are using our own database. Salesforce is having their own database that is called as database.com. Database.com is the customized database of Salesforce where all the Salesforce objects and the records will get resides. What are the Salesforce objects that we have? It may be standard objects, it may be custom objects also. What are the records we have inserted inside those objects? All those records will be getting resides inside the database, database.com. Now, today I want to insert some new records inside my object here. It may be standard object, it may be custom object, anything. So that I would like to use Apex programming language. Now, I'm using this Apex programming language. Through this Apex programming language, I want to interact with my Salesforce object to insert some new records, to update some existing records, to delete some records here. In that case, in order to connect to that Salesforce objects through Apex programming, we no need of any mediator layers. No mediator layer components. No mediators. So directly we can able to interact with the database object. So Salesforce is having the capability to connect to the database okay, directly. So it doesn't require any mediator layer component over here. Directly it can able to interact with the database objects. Now, directly it can able to interact with the database to perform the required DML operations. Then how? How it is going to be interacting with the database objects? For that one, it is using a feature called as ORM. With the help of this ORM, it is interacting with the Salesforce objects directly without any mediator layer. Suppose if you don't have any third-party layers in the middle of the programming language and the database, then it will be increasing the application performance. So that as part of Salesforce, interacting with the database is very, very simple, very easy here. Okay? Understood the concept now? Now. In this case here, how it works, now let's see. Then how this ORM allows us to interact with the database directly without using any mediator components. Now, let me explain. To connect to the database through Apex programming, so ORM will perform only two simple operations. ORM performs two simple operations, will do two simple steps over here. Then what are those two steps? Okay, now let me explain, okay, with practically here so that you can understand. Now, let me explain the concept here. So what this ORM will do and how ORM allows us to interact with the Salesforce objects through programming without using any mediator components. Okay, now let's see. Now, let me take a small object here. It may be standard or custom, anything, any object you can use. For example, I would like to use a standard object account. Now, I have an account object. In account object, we have so many fields are available. Okay, in account object, we have so many fields are available. Can you give me the field names, what we have inside my account object? What fields are available in account object? Hmm. Sorry? That's what. I want the field names. Okay.
Account name,
ID of the record. Account password. No. I'm not talking
company,
about Salesforce account. I'm talking about account object fields. Only the columns what we have in the account table. ID
company,
field, name field, next. Rating field, industry field,
type,
annual revenue field,
contact,
no, no current CTC. Hmm. Type field, ownership field, account number field, phone field, fax field, website. We are having that billing street, city, billing state, billing country, billing postal code,
shipping address,
like the similar fashion. We are having this shipping address related fields. Shipping street, shipping city, shipping state, shipping postal code, shipping country, active status, customer priority, SLA, SLA expiration date, SLA serial number, created by, last modified by, is deleted. Like that, we are having so many fields in my account object. Okay, now. So now as part of this account object, we are having so many fields are available, which includes standard fields, custom fields, both. Okay, now. So now in this case here, how this ORM will allows us to interact with the Salesforce objects through programming. Okay, now let me explain. Now, so nowadays ORM is very, very popular. When you go to any programming language, like it may be Java, it may be .NET framework, there also the people are using ORM. When you go to the Java programming, the people are learning core Java first, then advanced Java, and then J2EE. And then they're learning some frameworks like Struts framework, Spring framework, Hibernate framework. The people are learning various of frameworks. These frameworks are purely built upon ORM. Now, when you go to the .NET programming, the people are learning some frameworks also. They're using that programming called as LINQ, Language Integrated Query. This is also purely built upon ORM feature. And then they're using a feature called as Hibernate. Hibernate. This is also purely built upon ORM. That means when you go to that any popular programming languages, either Java or .NET, whatever the latest frameworks they're using in order to build applications, those latest frameworks are purely built upon ORM. But in Salesforce, Force.com platform is purely built upon ORM in the year 2000 itself. That means since last 23 years, it is purely working on ORM. Because of this ORM feature only, so now they are able to interact with the Salesforce objects directly. Because of that, they are able to do some faster performance as well. That's what so many clients are preferring to go with Salesforce. They no need to use any other frameworks. Additionally, the whole functionality will be done by the ORM itself internally by default. Then how ORM will allow us to interact with the Salesforce object? Now, let me explain. So basically, ORM will perform two simple operations. Okay, ORM will perform two simple operations here. What are those two simple operations? Now let's see. As a step one, as a step one, ORM will transform each Salesforce object in the form of a class. So whatever the Salesforce tables that we have, it may be standard object, it may be custom object also. Each and every object will be transformed in the form of a class. That means what? Whatever the tables that we have, whatever the object name that we have, with this object name, Salesforce will create a new class internally by default with the help of ORM. Okay. Now tell me in Salesforce what objects that we have. We have campaign object, lead object, account object, contact, opportunity, case, solution, task, event, product, price book, including our custom objects also. Customer underscore underscore C, branch underscore underscore C, position underscore underscore C, loan underscore underscore C. Like that, we have our own custom objects also. So whatever the objects that we have in Salesforce, each object will be represented in the form of a class. Now, you know the syntax of a class. What is the syntax of the class? Upon preparing a class, what is the syntax? We have to specify access specified and the word class, class name, we can able to specify the block. Inside the block, we can define the members. Now here in this case, let's see. So as a step one, ORM will transform each Salesforce object in the form of a class. That means it will prepare a new class inside your Salesforce org with the same name as your object. For example, I have an object with the name account. So with this name, it will create a new class automatically by default over here. Okay, that is the first step the ORM will do. So now, as a step one, ORM will transform each Salesforce object in the form of a class where the object name and class name should be identical. This is a step one. So as a step one, it is going to be preparing a new class with the same name as your object. So now what is my class object name here? Account. So with this name, it is preparing a class. Now, with this name, it is preparing a class. Now, how it is preparing this class? Now, let's see. Now, tell me, what is the class now? Hmm. Public class. Hmm. What is the class name? Account. Here we can write the business logic. This is a step one. So, as a step one, ORM is going to be transforming each and every Salesforce object, that means table, in the form of a class. So, whatever the table name that we have, with the same name, it is preparing a class over here. Okay, there is a step one. Now, next one. As a step two, step two. As a step two, ORM will transform each field in the form of, okay, each field inside this object will be represented in the form of a variable. That means object contains what? Fields. Okay, now whatever the fields that we have inside my object, each field will be represented in the form of a variable. Like we have so many fields, including standard fields, custom fields. All the fields will be represented in the form of variables inside the class. You know how to define the variables, all these things you are aware of here. Okay, now there is a second step. ORM will transform each field inside the object in the form of a variable inside the class, inside the associated class. That means what? Whatever the fields that we have in the object, each field will be represented in the form of a variable. Okay, now tell me how to define the variables. What is the syntax? Data type and variable name. Along with we have to give access specifier also, because now it is class. So we have to give access specifier, data type, and the variable name. In this case, whatever the field names are available, these are not field labels, these are the field names. Whatever the field names that we have, each field name will be considered as a variable name automatically by default. Now, then how it will define? Now let me explain. So this is the class. Now I'm having this class. I'm having this class now. Public class account. Inside this class, it is defining those members over here. Now tell me. First field ID. Now tell me. What is the data type? ID data type. Right. The field name also ID. Next. Second one. Name field. That will be of type what? String. Right. Rating. Rating field will be of type what? Rating field. Rating field is having the options what? Hot, warm, cold. Those are nothing but what? String values. Industry field, string type. Type field, string type. Ownership field, string type. Account number field, string type. Phone field, string type. Fax field, string type. Website field, string type. And then we are having The building city, string type. Building street, string type. Building state, string type. Building country, string type. Building postal code, string type. Now, shipping street, string type. Shipping state, string type. Shipping postal code, string type. Shipping country, string type. SLA, string type. Active status, string type. Customer priority, string type. These are all our string data type fields. Okay. Now, next one. Next one. I have annual revenue field. That will be of type what? Decimal. Annual revenue will be decimal. We have created by and last modified by. Those will be of type what? Created by and the last modified by. These fields are comes under date time fields. Okay. So in this case, as a step two, whatever the fields that we have inside this object, each field will be represented in the form of a variable. Suppose, for example, here I'm having SLA expiration date. This will be comes under which data type? SLA expiration date. Date type, right. SLA expiration date. This is the date type of field. So in this case, whatever the fields that we have inside your object, each field will be represented in the form of a variable. This is the second step the ORM will do. So as a step one, ORM is going to be transforming this each and every object in the form of a class where your object name and your class name both are exactly identical. Now, second one. Inside this object, whatever the fields that we have, each field will be represented in the form of a variable. Okay, each field will be represented in the form of a variable. And along with that, inside this particular class, it is providing 10 standard methods. It provides 10 standard methods. So, what are those 10 standard methods it provides? Now, let me explain. So by default, ORM provides 10 standard methods here. So what are those 10 standard methods that we have? Now let me explain. 10 standard methods. What are those 10 standard methods? Now let me explain. The first one, save method. First one, save method. It is providing 10 standard methods. Let me give you those method names over here. The first method is it is providing save method. Second one, quick save method. Third one, cancel method. Fourth one, delete method. Fifth one, first method. Sixth one, next method. Seventh one, previous method. Eighth one, last method. Ninth one, has previous. Tenth one, has next. These are the 10 methods will be providing by Salesforce by default in each and every class by the ORM. So now the ORM is going to be providing these 10 methods. Save, quick save, cancel, delete, first, next, previous, last, has previous, and the has next. Okay, these are the 10 standard methods providing by the Salesforce. Okay, clear? Now, this is the internal architecture of ORM. So this is how ORM will works. Generally, nobody will discuss about these architectural concepts in the training sessions. Simply, they will explain how to insert the record. That's it. Why we have to write the code like this? No, nobody will explain because they won't digging into that architectural level. If you know the architectural level concept, then you can understand very easily. Now, so now in this case, as part of this ORM will perform only two simple steps over here. As a step one, whatever the Salesforce objects that we have, okay, with this Salesforce object names, ORM will be creating the classes. That's what I told you. Whenever we are creating a new Apex class inside the Salesforce org, I have given a note point to you. Don't create any Apex classes with the same name as your Salesforce object names. I have given that points to you. During that object oriented programming concept, I told you that point as well. Now, upon giving the standards here, don't define the Apex classes with the same name as the Salesforce object names because ORM feature has already created the classes with your Salesforce object names. That's what don't create that one more class here. Okay, ORM is already created, your Salesforce object names has been already used. Salesforce has created some classes with the Salesforce object names already. That's what I told you. Don't create your own custom class with the same name as your Salesforce object. Okay, clear? Now, so in this case, as part of this ORM will transform each Salesforce object in the form of a class. Now, now in this case here, let me give you one more point over here. For example, in our starting classes of configuration, as part of this admin part that already told you over there. I have given one small point over there. Now, already told you during that time. Whenever I'm creating a new object in Salesforce, upon creating a new object in Salesforce by giving some name customer, what Salesforce will provide? It provides a new table for you with this of 5 columns like ID, name, owner, created by, last modified by. Salesforce will create a table. Along with the table, it is providing a tab also. Once the tab is ready, it is preparing business logic class also. Okay, it will be in the form of a class. What is the business logic class name? Customer underscore underscore C. What is your table name here? Customer underscore underscore C. That means whenever we are creating a new object in Salesforce, it may be through object manager also, it may be through schema builder also. Salesforce will create a table, it provides a business logic class. That business logic class will be preparing by whom? ORM will prepare that. Okay, ORM will create this class automatically for you over here. Okay, now, so in this case here, whatever the table name that we have given over here, with this table name, it is creating a class automatically. Inside this table, whatever the fields that we have, those fields will be represented as variables inside your class. Okay, understood the concept over here? Now, this is the step one. So as a step one, it is going to be preparing a class with the same name as your object name. Second one, inside this object, whatever the fields that we have, each field will be represented in the form of variable. Okay? And along with that, it is providing 10 standard methods. Okay, it is providing 10 standard methods. Then what is the use of this 10 standard methods? Okay, now let me explain. Come to the small scenario here. For example, I'm going to my Salesforce org now. Now I'm using my Salesforce org. Now I'm going to my classic mode, switch it to Salesforce Classic. Now let's see. Now I'm having this account object here. Now when I click on this new button, as soon as once I click on the new button, now here be a form will be getting opened. In this form, I will enter the data. When I click on this save button, a new record will be created inside the object here. Now, as soon as once I click on this save button, how it is creating a new record? It should have some business logic, right? Yes. Without the business logic, the buttons can't do anything. Okay, the buttons can't do anything. So in this case, how it is working over here? Internally, Salesforce is providing these business logics for you in the form of ready-made methods. These are the ready-made methods that we have. Salesforce is providing these ready-made methods. These are the ready-made methods are available here. Now, as soon as once you click on this save button, now immediately this save method will call this save, okay, save button will call the save method, which is having the actual business logic class in order to create some new records. After entering the data, when I click on save button, it is saving the record. Now, in our custom objects also, whenever I'm creating a new custom object, by default, Salesforce is providing the table with the 5 columns. It is providing a tab also. It is providing business logic also. Immediately, we are going to the tab, click on the tab, click on new button, form will be getting opened. I will enter the data, will click on save, record is saving. We haven't written any business logic. Then how it is possible without writing the business logic, how it will create the class? It will be difficult. It may be any programming language also without the business logic. Upon click on the button, it can't save the record. It can't do any operation here. Now, so now here in this case here, now, in this case, that business logic will be given by Salesforce automatically by default by providing this 10 methods in each and every class. Upon creating a custom object, customer, it provides a class customer underscore underscore C. In our customer underscore underscore C class, also these 10 methods are fixed. In account class also these are 10 methods. Lead class also 10 methods. Campaign class also 10 methods. Position underscore underscore C class also 10 methods. These 10 methods are fixed methods. Now, in this case, whenever we are trying to be creating the records, as soon as once you click on save button, it will call this a save method, which will do the operation. Now, second one, when you click on this cancel method button, it will call this a cancel method, which will perform the operation for you. It will cancel the current request. That logic is available inside the cancel method. Next one, for example, when you open this existing records here, as soon as once you click on this, as soon as once you click on this delete button, it will delete that current record. How that business logic is available inside this delete method. Next one. Whenever we are accessing the records, here we are having the pagination feature. We have the pagination feature is available over here. We have this pagination feature. Now, as soon as once you click on this first button, it will call the first method. As soon as once you click on next button, it will call the next method. When I click on previous button, it will call previous method. When I click on last button, it will call the last method here automatically. Upon using this pagination, these methods will be getting used. Next, right now, the first button and the previous buttons are in disabled. Why? Hmm. We don't have any previous set of records. This is the first set of records. So, in order to know do we have previous set of records available or not, it is using the method as previous. Based on that method only, these buttons will be in disabled state over here. Suppose, for example, when I click on this next button, next set of records are available. When I click on next button, next set of records are available. Now these two buttons has been disabled because here we don't have any new set of records here. These are the last records. In order to know do we have next set of records available or not, it is using has next method. These are the built-in methods which has been given by Salesforce by default in each and every class. In each class, these 10 methods will be fixed. Okay, clear? Now, this class will be given by Salesforce automatically by default. This class will be given by Salesforce automatically by default over here. In this case, whatever the Salesforce objects that we have, including standard, including custom, each and every Salesforce object has been represented in the form of a class. And inside that object, whatever the fields that we have, all the fields have been represented in the form of variables automatically, along with the certain methods by default over here. This is the business logic classes preparing with Salesforce with the help of ORM. Okay? Clear? Now, in order to interact with this table through programming, we are using the help of this class. Now, as part of Apex programming, we are using this class in order to interact with your Salesforce object through programming. Now tell me in this case here. Now here observe this one. This is the account class. This is the account class. This account class means referencing to account object. Now these are the variables. These variables are nothing but what? Referencing to the fields of that object here. That means this is a name field, rating field, industry field, type field, ownership, account number, annual revenue, like that. Now, so whatever the variables that we have inside this class, these variables are nothing but fields of my account object here. Now tell me, upon creating an account record, what fields are mandatory? What fields are mandatory? Only name field is mandatory, remaining all the fields are optional. Okay, in account object, only the name field is mandatory, rest of all the fields are optional fields. If you want, you can supply the value. If you don't want, leave it. Now, in that case, now as part of this ORM, account object means what? This account class. Fields means what? These are the variables. So, I want to pass the values for these variables now. But these variables are available where? Inside this account class. Then how to assign the value for these variables now? How to assign the values for these variables? Object of the class. That means what we need to do, already we have discussed. Yesterday, day before yesterday, we have discussed. If you want to access any of the member of the class, we have to create object of the class. Through the object, we can access the member by using object name dot variable name. We can assign the value over here. Now the same thing we have to do here also. That's it, nothing else. Now I would like to create. Okay, I would like to create a new record. So we are going to be using the help of these classes over here. How to use the help of these classes? Okay, now let me explain. Now, let's see. This is the class here. These are the members are available. Now I would like to insert a new record. Whenever if you want to insert the new records, what needs to be done? We have to access, we have to assign the value for these fields. How to assign the values for these fields? We need to access these members here. Now let's see. In this case, what we can do as a step one, create the object of the class. How can we create the object of this class now? What is the class name? Account. How to create the object of the class? Class name, that means account, some ACC equals to new account. We are creating object of the class here. Next, as a step two, assign the values. Now, because I want to insert an account record, in order to insert the account record, we have to pass a value for the fields. Those fields are nothing but what? these variables. We need to pass the values for these variables here. How to access these variables? By using the help of this object. So ACC dot field name, that means variable name, and then we can assign the values over here. ACC dot name. I'm assigning the value. For example, some Sandeep Kumar. ACC dot rating. I'm giving the value hard. ACC dot industry. I'm giving the value manufacturing. ACC dot annual revenue, some 20 lakhs. ACC dot type. I'm giving the value some customer direct. ACC dot active status. I'm giving the value yes. ACC dot customer priority. I'm giving the value high. Like that, here we can assign the value for each and every member. So, whatever the variables that we have, for these variables, I'm assigning the values here because these variables are part of this class. If you want to access the members of this class, we have to create the object. So, as a step one, we have created the object of this account class. As a step two, we are accessing each and every member by using object name dot member name. We are assigning the values here. Once you are done, as a step three, we can insert the record also. As a step 3, insert the record. In order to insert the record, just we can use insert statement. We can use the insert statement, insert ACC. That's it, over. So with these details, it will be creating a new record inside your object automatically here. These are the steps. Okay. Whenever if you want to create some new records inside this object in any Salesforce object here through programming, just we have to create the object of that respective class and assign the values for the required fields. Once you have assigned the values, then as a step 3, insert the record by using insert statement over here. Next, once you are done with the insertion, then what is the guarantee that my record is inserted? So I would like to cross check that. For that one, I want to check that. Now, print the confirmation. Now, I would like to print that confirmation on my debug log file. Like I would like to specify, now here I'm checking the condition. If acc.id not equals to null. That means what? Whenever we are inserting a new record inside the object, what will be generating by Salesforce? ID. ID will be generated. Where is that ID? Inside this ID variable. So I'm getting this value here. That means we are assigning the value, we are retrieving the value. The same steps we are doing here also. Now we are going to be collecting the ID of this account record. I'm checking that if the account record ID is not equals to null. If it is not equals to null, then I would like to show the confirmation. System.debug account record inserted successfully. Okay, that's it. These are the 4 simple steps. Whenever if you want to manage the records inside this object, these are the 4 simple steps that we have to follow. As a step 1, create the object of the respective class. As a step 2, assign the values for the variables. As a step 3, insert the record. As a step 4, print the confirmation of the record on the debug log file here. Okay, understood the concept now? Now, these are the 4 steps we used to follow in order to manage the records inside your Salesforce object. Okay, understood the concept now? If you have any questions, let me know. Any questions? Hmm. Now, if it is a lead record, then we have to create the object of lead class and then supply the values for your lead object fields. Because here we should be aware of what fields are available in that lead object. You know the first name, last name, company name, title. We have to pass the value inside that lead record object. Then we have to check the condition here. If the lead record reference dot id not equals to null, then we can show the confirmation lead record is inserted. Similar fashion, same. It may be any object also, same procedure we used to follow there. Here we are using for account, there we are using for lead object. In some case we're using for position object. In some other case we're using for hiring manager object. Just the object name will be, that means the class name is different, the fields are different. That's it. Remaining steps are same. Okay? Understood the concept here? Now, let's see. Make a note of these points here.
Excuse me, Firoz.
Yes.
Insert is also one of the standard method.
Yeah, insert is a standard, okay, DML statement given by Salesforce.
Okay.
Compulsorily, we have to pass a value for mandatory fields. Right. Multiple. So we have to pass a value for all the mandatory fields. If you miss to pass any of the mandatory field, your record cannot be inserted. Okay. Right. Non-mandatory, no need to write anything. Just you can leave them. Okay. Now, now make a note of this one. Now, by using ORM feature, we can interact with the Salesforce objects through programming, through programming to perform the required DML operations on the object records. By using ORM feature, we can interact with the Salesforce objects through programming to perform the required DML operations on the Salesforce object. Now, ORM allows us to interact with the object directly without using any mediator components. Without using any mediator components. So that we can improve the application performance. So that we can improve the application performance. Now, Salesforce supports Salesforce supports the ORM feature to perform the database operations. Now, which performs the below two operations internally as a step one. ORM will transform each Salesforce object, that means a table, in the form of a class, where the class name and the table name should be identical. For example, account table will be represented as account class, like public class account. Now, campaign table will be represented as campaign class, public class campaign. Here we can write the business logic. Case table will be represented as case class, public class case. Here we can write the business logic. Hmm, hmm. Right. Now, when you go to that creating the class, okay, upon creating a class in the standard navigation, you will be having two buttons: save button, quick save button. Okay, as soon as once you click on the quick save button, it will be creating that class. That means it will save the class inside your Salesforce database automatically. That means it will be saving into the metadata repository. For the class creation, it is using quick save method. Okay. Now, you have created the class, right, by using standard navigation. Go to the standard navigation. When you click on that new Apex class button, it will be opening an editor. We are preparing the class functionality. There will be having two buttons will be there. Save, quick save, and cancel button will be there. When you click on quick save button, it will call this quick save method, which will be saving this class code inside the metadata repository. Okay.
Excuse me, Firoz, can you move the screen a little bit down? Thank you. Excuse me, Firoz.
So,
We can create the class in this one, right? Business developer the console, right?
in developer console also we can create the class.
Not only in that,
Standard
what?
navigation.
Yes,
Mm. So not only in standard navigation, developer console also, because previously we have prepared the classes in developer console only, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Hi, Feroz, you there?
Yes.
Feroz, I'm planning to go for admin certification to set for the test. Do you recommend me, because I have practice whatever you have taught me in the admin part? Is there anything left
Mhm.
in this developer edition to wait, or I can go for the test?
No, just wait for some more time because recently the release has been changed, right? So the questions will change. Let me find out the latest terms also. I will share with you. If there is any
Okay,
possibility, I will find out the vouchers and I will share with you.
okay, that's good. Thank you.
Sir,
Now,
sir, I'm hearing you.
position underscore underscore C table will be represented as below. Public class position underscore underscore C, it will be having the business logic. These classes are already given by Salesforce, but you can't see these classes. These classes are invisible. Public class candidate underscore underscore C. This is a step one. As a step one, it is going to be representing each and every table in the form of a class. As a step two, ORM will transform each field inside the object in the form of a variable in the class. Each field inside the object will be represented in the form of a variable inside the class. For example, account object fields will be represented as below. Public class account, we are having that fields. Public ID, ID field, public string, name field, rating, industry, type, ownership, phone, fax, website, account number, SLA, active status, customer priority, and we have billing city, billing state, billing country, billing postal code, shipping state, shipping city, shipping country, etc. Public decimal annual revenue. Public date, SLA expiration date. Public date time created by and the last modified by, like that. It provides 10 standard methods. Save method, quick save, cancel, delete, first, next, previous, last, has previous, has next. Then up to this one. Done. Then how can we interact with this Salesforce subject through programming? Okay, we'll see in tomorrow's session with the practical. So tomorrow we'll see how to insert the records inside the object, how to insert the records in standard object, how to insert in custom object, how to insert related records, how to insert bulk records, everything we'll see one by one. Okay. Now, so go through this information today. Tomorrow we'll see the practical concept of ORM. How can we interact with the objects through programming? We'll see practically. Okay. Thank you.